Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We're going to bring y'all a video about us fixing our cane mill. I've got to pour a babbit bearing, and because we don't have the actual tools that we need, I'm having to create stuff. So I've built a form here, and I know you're supposed to use a certain kind of clay around this. I mean, I do know that, but what I've done is this right here is off of a jack, and I added a piece of metal to it. This gives it the shaft in my mill exactly. This is exactly the same diameter as the shaft in that mill is. This is the bearing that I've got to pour the lead into that goes into the mill. So what I've done is I've built me a little tiny box. I'm going to be setting this bearing in here. I'm going to put this shaft in here. This is just how it goes in the cane mill. What I'm going to be doing, instead of using the right kind of clay that you're supposed to use around this, I'm going to have to use sand, because on a homestead that's all I have. Now I've made these little pieces of metal here to fit on each side of that, because the bearing only has to pour halfway in the shaft. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be taking some of this sand and we're going to be putting it in there. It's going to take a little while to do this and get it right, because I don't want any sand inside where the lead bearing goes. I've got to be a little careful, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to pack it as I go so that I make sure that I get it right. That way I won't have to worry about it moving. See, this will be a little bit time consuming. I gotta make sure I don't get any sand in there where the bearing's gonna be at. It's kind of hard to get that dirt packed in everywhere. This is just a makeshift deal on a homestead. This is what you do when you don't have the right tools to do anything with. When I get the dirt packed, it won't move. Okay, this is what it's going to look like. We're going to be pouring the lead down in this hole right here, and that will form our actual bearing inside that. Alright. Figure out which way the wind's blowing from. Okay, we're putting pieces of the old bearing back in there so we don't waste our lead. We just added a little extra to it. And what I have to do is I have to get these impurities off of it.
Kind of like doing jelly.
So that's like dirt and carbon?
Yeah. Ooh, it didn't work.
What'd you do?
It ran out somewhere.
Out
So that's a
bottom?
no-go. Okay, let's see. Let me pick up my little pieces of... I don't actually know what happened here. I won't know till I get it apart. I have a feeling it went up under it.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, it smells like burnt wood.
Okay, it didn't mess with that. It did. That's what it did. It ran
Back
up
to the bottom.
It went under it.
Yeah.
Yep. It went up under it. And I don't know how I'm going to get it out of there without tearing up the box.
There it comes.
Oh, it went.
Let's see. show what it did.
Oh, it's hot now, so everything's, this up under here is still hot. Okay. The babbit material poured up under the bottom of it here. You can see how it went under it. So, we've got to make some changes to that. Zoltan?
Yep.
It worked.
Wow. It's like the perfect quantity.
Okay, so this time it held. We had to go through a little bit of different process, but this time our design held. Okay. Caliente, huh? Mucho caliente?
It's sticky.
And it don't want to let go, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see how you two work.
Let's do the unveiling of our bearing pouring and see actually what we've got to do here. It's so hot still, I can't.
It looks nice. Don't see it coming out. Wow.
Nice. Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, this is our shiny new bearing that we've got poured for our cane mill. We just poured our babbit bearing.
Now to put it all back together.
Now, Zoltan and I can put this mill back together. Okay, we have our new bearing we poured here. What I've done is I've taken some Crisco, some lard, and put it in here. This thing actually fits down inside the cane mill here. And I guess many years ago the back side of this was broke off, but it's been that way ever since I've owned the mill for 30 years. So we're going to take and we've already greased the bottom of the shaft down here that sets in this with the lard. So we're going to ease this thing over and set it down in here and get it running. Operate it. Sit there.
I think it's there.
Tighten up one quick. Okay, we may need to slide this that away just a little bit. Alright.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay, we have here, this is called a bearing box that goes inside the mill. It has the bearing poured over on this side of it here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some lard and I'm going to put it down in this and start lubricating it where the shaft. This goes over here and sets down in here. This is the side of the cane mill that the cane feeds into. There's going to be two more rollers, one roller that goes here and one roller that goes over there. The side of the mill that the cane goes in has a smaller roller on it, so we're going to be putting a small roller here, and we're going to be putting the next larger one on this side. Alright, we've got those in there now. Make sure they're pushed up tight, that way. Okay, before we put these rollers in, there's a little bit of rust been on this because it's been out of there for years. It's been apart for quite some time. I'm going to take some emery cloth and try to clean a little bit of this pitted up on this. Okay, roll it just a little bit for me, Zoltan. There you go. We're going to get rid of some of that rust off of it. This mill was, I think it was made in 1902. Your fingers falls in there now. Okay, it just rests up inside this. Up there.
It's kind of crooked, isn't it?
Well, we got gears that we got to put on top of all this. So I want to get the other roller set in there. When we get the other roller set in there, we'll take this off because then this can't fall over.
Right.
Sit it in there. Watch your fingers because it will mash it. Okay, we've got this part of our cane mill back together now. We've got the bearings poured. We've got everything set in place. What we're going to be doing now is putting the actual hole part around this and showing you kind of how that goes back together. Alright, Zoltan, if you can set that one over there. Okay, got that one. This one. This is the feed side, so we've got, this piece is actually missing off the other side. It has, I don't know where it's at, so we're going to try to make sure it works without it. Alright, Zoltan, looks like we got this part of it done. Now, we've got to put the top on. That goes on afterwards. Yeah. Okay. So turn it over. All right. Okay. Like we're getting there. I'll tell you what, that bearing right there behind you, lay it on the floor.
This?
No, the bearing.
Oh.
Yeah, right there. The Crisco. Right. Drop it in there. Let's put some Crisco on it first.
This one already has.
Oh, that one already has it? Okay. Trying to make sure it was going to fit. We'll do the adjustments in a minute. Come back up. Keep them from coming out. Now the long bolts laying over there. Yeah, we'll put the top on that one now. Alright. Small washer goes on the top. And this one that you're at right there, there's a plate in there. We've got to line up. I'll help you there in just a second. Just kind of
think I'm good.
washer on the bottom of it. That's the wood right there.
Danny has a way of making you look like you know what you're doing.
Down at the bottom, and you wrap this over the top, because that way when that picks up it's pulling against that one.
All right.
And then you go back under it again. Then
So the heavier it is, the more grip it'll have. Right?
yeah, and it can still slide off. I mean, there's no guarantees. That's why I tell you we have to be really careful, because there's nothing up here to hold it. When that chain picks up, it may just slip off of it. I mean, it's one of them things we have to be real careful with.
I shouldn't tighten it too much, right?
Not right off till we get the other ones run down a little bit.
Right.
Just snug them all down good. Okay, we've got our cane mill set up on our legs here. I know y'all are thinking that it's awful high, but I'm going to show you why, because I'm going to step in the picture for just a minute and show you why it's as high as it is. There's going to be a long arching pole that goes on top of this that a mule turns around and around, and when you're feeding the cane in it, so many of them are down low and you have to keep ducking your head because the pole keeps wanting to hit you in the head. So being as I'm tall, I went ahead and mounted this one up high so that as I feed the cane in the side of the mill here, I don't have to worry about the pole hitting me in the head when it comes around. This is a Golden's new model, number 2, 1-horse cane mill. We just got through pouring the bearings in it, as y'all saw on our earlier part of our video. Now the piece that goes on the top here that the pole goes on is not on it because we have it in the barn. We're actually cutting a new pole to go on it this year, and I'm finding the balancing point, and I'm actually hewing the pole to fit that piece up there. Now I'll show you where the cane feeds into it here at. We have adjusted the rollers in this one. This particular mill, the intake rollers on it has to be between 1/4 and 1.5 of an inch, so we decided to go with 3/8 of an inch to start with. That's what these bolts are you see here on the front, on the top and the bottom here. There's rollers in here that you saw in the earlier part of the videos. This adjusts those rollers in against the big roller in the back. And we've got the one on this side, the intake roller, we have it adjusted at 3/8 of an inch. The exiting roller here is a larger roller on the inside. We have it adjusted at 1/8 of an inch. These are where we're going to start at, so when we start feeding the cane in, we may have to make some new adjustments on it, but that'll kind of give us an idea of a starting point on this particular mill here. And as you come around the front here, this is where the juice actually pours out of it at. When you squeeze it, the juice comes and pours out of here. And what I've done is I have designed my own catch system here. This is a galvanized catch system with a screen inside it, so that as the cane juice pours into it, we catch any, they call them drugs. We catch any of the drugs, the pieces of cane that gets off in there and trash and stuff like that will be caught in this particular screen. And sometimes we even add some burlap inside this to kind of help filter it a little bit better. And then there's a hose that comes out the bottom. It's not hooked up right now, but a PVC line will hook on that, or either we'll set a bucket under it to catch the juice, depending on what we decide to do with it. But when we get our pan set up down the hill, it will be a gravity fed system. There'll be a 1-inch line come out of the bottom of this and run down the hill. And we'll put the cane building down at the bottom of the hill down here to over the edge of this hill and gravity flow it down to the pan. And the juice will flow down to the bottom of the hill, down to the pan, where it will be cooked in an evaporator pan.
Danny is putting the second coat of yellow paint on. He had first painted the whole mill red, and now he's adding the golden color because of the name Goldens.
Okay, we've got our cane mill here. We've got it painted red, and we've got the letters. We've got it put back into its original condition right now. Still got the piece to put on top where the log hooks on it, where we can turn it round and round. We wanted to get this phase of it done. Okay, everybody, we have got our mill up. We have our stand up. The stand was actually made for me many years ago by a friend. This was actually a ship mast that came off of a ship, and he cut it into pieces for me, and we welded up this platform close to 30 years ago, and we just finished putting this mill together, and we're hoping to have it up to make syrup this winter with. Okay, what I have here, this is a catch system that I made 30 years ago in a sheet metal shop for my syrup mill. Built it out of galvanized where it would not ruin. So since we've got our cane mill up and running now, I'm going to be rebuilding this here, putting a new screen system in it and really reworking it and getting it ready for a new season of squeezing juice to cook syrup out of here at Deep South Homestead.